Hey folks, I'm Mike Evers, ORTHOWORLD Senior Market Analyst. We're about to get earnings announcements for the second quarter of 2025. Market growth got off to a slower start this year, so let's talk about a couple of things I'm watching for in the second quarter. The orthopedic market grew about 5% last year. Now, we expected normalization coming into this year, but the first quarter came in pretty sluggish. Every quarter, I publish a summary of results from the public companies that we cover. Those companies grew just 2.8% in the first quarter. And there were some notable steps back from companies that to that point had been performing fairly well. J&J MedTech, Globus Medical, Smith+Nephew, and Zimmer Biomet all had orthopedic growth of 1.2% or lower. Orthofix and Treace also had slower than normal quarters. So I'm waiting to see if these companies can reverse course in Q2. I had the privilege to speak at the NASA Innovation Summit in June. One of my key topics was the changing competitive landscape in spine. Even with the 11 transactions so far in 2025, orthopedic M&A activity is down sharply since the pandemic. But that doesn't tell the whole story, especially not in spine. The top 5 spine players represent almost 2/3 of the entire market. And in that group, it's really hard to overstate the competitive impact of enabling technology and scale. A similar dynamic is playing out in joint replacement. And that made me wonder if we're going to see any other major shakeups to the competitive landscape in the second half of 2025. Are there more companies out there like a Stryker that are going to decide to pull the plug on an underperforming segment or geography? In preparing for my talk, I spent a lot of time thinking about Globus Medical bucking the conventional wisdom in spine with its massive acquisition of NuVasive. Look, we don't have to beat the dead horse of spine acquisitions never work. Globus quite clearly became the exception to that rule. But the company's subpar first quarter had me feeling some recency bias. So I went back and I looked at Globus's pro forma growth. From 2017 to 2022, the company had a CAGR of about 10%. Now, of course, things slowed down a bit when the company virtually doubled in size with its 2023 deal for NuVasive. But if we ignore last quarter, Globus has still outperformed its market. Even its quote-unquote worst quarter, 2Q24, was about average for the overall spine market. So the last thing I'm watching is Globus's performance. Was last quarter just a blip? We're going to learn a lot more in the coming weeks. Okay, folks, I think we're going to leave it there. We talked about the slower first quarter performance for public companies, the changing competitive landscape, and Globus's steady execution despite some bumps in the road. We'll have all the second quarter coverage for you on orthoworld.com and here on our YouTube channel, so make sure you like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm Mike Evers, and I'll see you next time.